I'm gonna take a break from doing this for a moment just to show you. He's watching a VHS tape right now. On a CRT! Oh my god, he's like orgasming or some shit. She's real! Oh my god. Oh no. Oh no. This is not safe for work. Ree! Ree! What is... Oh no. Oh no. Okay, now he's just interviewing her, but it was a VHS tape. He literally made a woman from a fucking VHS tape. Okay, now I have to go back to doing this. Okay, I want to talk about something. So look at this. This is the kanji for the word prosperous, and so I wrote down prosperous sky with 2 suns in order to help remember it. Because if you think about it, there's 2 suns here, the one on the top, which is smaller, and then the one on the bottom, which is bigger. Now we shouldn't confuse this with Risk, because Risk has very similar imagery. The difference is that Risk has a bigger sun on the top and the smaller one on the bottom. So, because it has 2 lines here, that wouldn't actually be a sun, that would be an eye. And so what I wrote down was Risk. Eye plus sun equals sun in eyes. Therefore, it is a Risk. So, whenever I look at this character, I think eye, sun in my eyes. That's a huge Risk. But there's a couple different ones that are like this. For instance, Sparkle. The way that I remember Sparkle is all of these are little bitty suns. It's 3 suns, in fact. And so Sparkle is like tiny suns. They sparkle in your eyes. But the way that I don't get this confused is that Prosperous is a sky with 2 suns, which is a prosperous world. And so these little delineations, these little distinctions that you have to make in order to keep your stories consistent will ultimately help you remember these. And when you're doing SRS with RTK, it'll help you reinforce the same stories. Because when I open up Anki, for instance, and I'm looking at the character, I'll be remembering back not just to what it means on the surface, I'll be remembering back to that story. And so, prosperous sky with 2 suns, sparkling with little tiny suns. And then, Risk, eye with sun in it. Therefore, it is risky. Remember those delineations. It's like some major aesthetic shit going on here. So she's watching him through a TV screen or through multiple monitor screens, and the dude is having like a major breakdown, like he's freaking out right now. And she's behind the scenes. Oh my god, this show is so cool. I only know like 15% of what they're saying, but it's just so fucking cool. Like, look at this. Like, he's just having a ginormous breakdown. Writing English is the most boring thing in the world. Look at this. So, the stroke order is really important in Japanese, right? So it's important that you get the strokes correct, because if you don't do them right, then it's going to look all messed up. Or it's just going to look messed up because you're bad at handwriting, the way that I am. But this is Rising Sun right here. But, like, I love the feeling of writing this. Like, it just feels good to write. Like, there's something about the style and the aesthetic of the writing. Something that just makes it feel all the more unique and good. Whereas when I write in English, you know, writing in English can be quite fun, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same experience where you feel the totality of what it is that you're doing. It feels like I'm in some way inscribing the emotions into the page just by, you know, just by doing the strokes. It feels all the more special because of that, you know? Let me try to do this correctly. Okay. and then go like this. One of the interesting things about the components that build up this specific character is that this is the number 9, but it also is the number for, or excuse me, the character for baseball. And because 9 players compose a baseball team, it's logical that the number 9 would also be baseball, or baseball team. But when you combine sun and 9 together, or baseball, whichever, it becomes rising sun. And so you kind of have to picture a baseball bat on a flagpole, you know, and then imagine the sun being caught up over it. The explanation that it provides in the actual book for what this one is kind of weird and irreverent. So I'm trying to come up with my own story behind it. But baseball certainly is something that's important in the land of the rising sun. If these TV broadcasts were any indication, they play baseball fucking constantly on this AQ stream. Okay, so initially, when I started out using RTK, I was writing out a lot of the characters again and again, which is exactly the opposite of how the book is supposed to be used. Now, I had stories for the characters, individually speaking, in my head, but I never quite fleshed them out. I was using the spaced repetition system and everything to go through all the specific characters, but I never quite went in depth with them. I never had that aha image that would totally stick out to me. And so what I decided to do was go back through the first 34 that I did and write an in-depth story for all of them. This way, I can more easily have them by memory. You know, for number 10, I wrote out 10 crosses that hung Jewish people by the Romans, and then Jesus is just sitting there hanging out. You know, I got the sun over here, and he's like, oh, it's daytime. That's another meaning. You know, we got, let me see here. Let me find a cool one. We've got the men and the moon. The men and the moon are both sitting there together, therefore they are companions. You know, just stuff like this. Like if you write out an entire story for all of the characters, and then you give a little drawing there, it's going to make the process a lot more fun and easy to remember. That's the whole point of this book, is that you don't just use the spaced repetition system to better your own memory, you also use the mnemonics. You use the story method to make it to where the characters stand out more in your mind. And then it builds on those specific characters as time goes on. You know, for instance, let me find Prosperous here. Is Prosperous in here? Okay, that's Stomach. Where is Prosperous? Okay, well, no, I'll use the one for Bright. See, look at this. Bright. Here we have the sun and the moon. Bright. They're both bright together. Then there's Risk. You got, it poses a risk. Because we have the sun, and then we have your eye. I think I've already told you about this in the past. But, you know, we got Prosperous, and it's 2 suns in the sky, man. 2 suns! What can be more prosperous than this? 2 fucking suns, dude! So, that's what I'm doing, is that, we do 35, 36 per day this way, and, it'll more easily stick out in your memory. I had to rewrite all of the stories, because the first time I just put the stories in my head, and I feel like it's better for emphasis to draw pictures and actually write out the stories themselves.